Hey guys, so I'm here with Jason Redick, and some of you folks have watched Forged in Fire before. You will recognize this gentleman right here as one of the winners. And I was lucky enough to meet him at an event at the Smoky Mountain Knife Works, talked to him briefly, found out that he gave classes and instruction, and called him back up, scheduled a time, came up here, and pretty much all day today I've spent learning from him how to make some woodworking tools. So we made a couple different gouges and a primitive adze. So I figured take a few minutes and get to know him a little bit, and you know, learn a little bit more about Jason. So what's everybody always wants to know, what got you started in blacksmithing? What sparked the interest?
Well, I've always been someone who was, I guess you'd call him a hobbyist, always looking for something to do. My grandfather, he made fishing lures forever. Made fishing lures, fishing rods. He did everything by hand. And I was always hanging out with him when I was a kid. I actually made my first knife with him when I was probably about 10 years old. Just a simple stock removal thing, but I've still got it somewhere here in the house. But that just, you know, that sparked my interest in wanting to make things. And I just was always into something over the years, and I always would come back to doing knives, mainly stock removal stuff at first. And it just got to the point to where I couldn't buy a factory knife that I felt was worth what you paid for them anymore. And I was like, well, I can probably do this just as good or better. Can't be much worse. So I just started diving into being more serious about knife making, and wound up losing my job. I got into doing some blacksmithing work and really liked that. Wound up losing my job, and all my friends really pushed me to start trying to sell the stuff I was making. So I started doing that, going to a few gun shows and around to some local markets and things, and wound up started selling a lot of stuff. And next thing you know, I had a chance to take a blacksmithing course out at Blue Ridge Community College, and yeah, I just kind of took it out of boredom. I was like, well, I can at least make my knives there, and I won't have to use all my equipment at home. And wound up becoming real good friends with the instructor, a man named Steve Rudderbush. He just recently retired. That's how I made that one real nice integral Damascus knife for. And he taught me a lot about basic blacksmithing, which in turn really helped my knife making a lot, which I didn't think it would, but it did. So I always recommend folks take a basic blacksmithing course before they want to do knives. And just, you know, over the years, just kept pushing, kept doing it. Eventually, the show Forged in Fire came out. I saw the first couple episodes of that. I was like, man, I can do this. The same thing I do at home anyway. So I was able to contact them, get on the show. Wound up winning too, which was, it was great to win. But if I hadn't won, I still would have had a really good time. I met 4 awesome other smiths. Real close with Josh Weston, the guy who beat in the finals. He and I hang out a lot when I'm in Charleston. Just had a, you know, great time. All of the judges, all the crew on the show, super people. If I have any questions about knives or heat treating something, I can contact Jay Nielsen from like the show. He gets back to me within a few hours. You know, it's really brought me into a much larger community that I'm a part of, and it's really opened the door to, you know, a lot more opportunities to come my way because of it. So
cool. So as the day progressed, we're talking a lot about you know, some of the students that you've had and stuff like that. If somebody wanted to get into blacksmithing, what would you suggest as far as the tools? How much money they could look to spend, just to get into the basic, you know, like they wanted to do what I was doing today, you know, pound some steel out to make some basic woodworking tools, or making some knives or something like that. We're not talking like power hammers or anything like that, but just to do the basic, you know, a basic accoutrement of tools and stuff like that. What would you suggest?
Honestly, there's a book out there called The $100 Knife Shop, or a booklet, little thin thing. You could get that, and you could come pretty close to setting you up a little something just to make a few blades with, you know, for $100 or less probably. maybe a little more. You can build a real simple little forge, like a brake drum forge. You can look those up on here on like YouTube as well. You can fire them with hardwood charcoal, like lump charcoal you get for like your grill. Even the briquette kind will work. It's just the chunky stuff's a little better. You can power that with a hairdryer or a $14 bathroom fan. They work fine. There's plenty of air. You can build a cheap little gas forge out of fire brick and a little push button torch. It'd be enough to make small blades, figure out if you like it, make small tools, things like that. Super handy. I had a little mini fire brick forge I used for years for just doing small stuff. I really liked it. And I dropped it and broke it. But yeah, I mean, you can get tools from Harbor Freight that are real cheap. You can get hammers, you can get long handle pliers for tongs, because tongs are pretty expensive if you buy them new. Because you're going to need something to start with where you can make some other tools as you go. Like hammers, if you go to the blacksmith supply, most of your hammers you can buy there minimum $50 and they go up from there. But you can hit flea markets. You might be lucky enough to run across an anvil. Hit up, if you got, if your family had like a farm or something, they still got it. There may be a corner of a barn somewhere. It's got an anvil half buried in the ground. I mean, you never know. But yeah, you can get out. You can do it about as cheap as if you're pretty. If you got pretty good ingenuity, you can figure it out. You can use an old piece of railroad track for an anvil, or just a big chunk of steel you can find at a scrapyard. As long as it's got a flat surface, you can use that and it'll work.
Hardened steel though. It's got to be hardened steel.
Yeah, fairly hard. As long as it's not like cast iron. But I mean, that would work for a couple blades anyway till you figured out if you liked it. But stay away from like cast iron anvils. They're junk. Awesome. Don't want those.
So you've been smithing for quite a while. Made probably hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of knives. Yeah. What's your favorite? I mean, one of the famous lines in Forged in Fire is "Make it in your style." Make a knife in your style. If I said, "What is your style?" Could you describe it in some kind of detail?
I probably don't have a specific style of knife that I always make. I probably lean towards more rustic styled knives. No matter what I do, if it's a paring knife or a chef's knife, going all the way up to big choppers, meat cleavers, stuff like that, I tend to like stuff that's got a little bit of some hammer marks to it, a little bit of scale, and it looks a little more rustic. I mean, that's what appeals to me. But on the flip side, I can go and make something that's completely ground, mirror polished, and beautiful too. I kind of get burned out making just one specific thing. So I mean, I might make a lot of chefs. Like right now, I'm making a lot of chef's knives. So I got a couple of food events coming up soon that I need to be ready for. Then after that, during the summer, I'll probably have a mix of chef's knives mixed with some skinning knives, hunting blades, stuff like that. Just getting ready for the upcoming deer season and whatnot. If I know there's a woodworking event coming up, I'll make a lot of woodworking tools. But I'd say probably like a default setting, if I ain't got nothing to do, I'd probably make a big chopper before I'd make anything else. Like a big kukri, just a big, like, giant Bowie style knife, kind of barong style, just any kind of a big chopper, big heavy chopper. You can really do some damage.
Big and mean.
Yeah, I love stuff like that. I like making war hammers and stuff too.
Oh, cool. So what's your favorite grind? Scandi, Saber, convex?
I probably, the one I use more than anything, I use a flat grind with a convex edge. That seems to be what you can get the most strength out of your blade and the most sharpness, as well as edge retention. Now if you're doing like a real super thin chef's knife, I do like a 0 grind. It's flat just all the way down to like the cutting edge. It doesn't have a secondary bevel on it. So it depends on what I'm making. If it's a big chopper, I'll probably do like a convex grind on those, just because they'll hold up to a lot more punishment. But my go-to most time is probably a flat with a convex edge.
Excuse me while we have a nuclear meltdown. Let's see. What's your favorite steel of all the steels that you could have? 5160, the 1095, 1075s.
I could probably do everything and make every knife I need to make out of 5160.
And for those of you who don't know, 5160 is...
It's a high carbon spring steel. It's most commonly found in leaf springs. And 20 years ago, that's pretty much all that. Most all leaf springs were made out of that. Now they have a few subgrades of it. They're still decent, but 5160 is good. It hardens well. It's holds real good edge. Stays springy. It's damn near indestructible if you temper it properly.
Awesome. So
I would say, yeah, any type of real good spring steel I really like.
Awesome. Favorite Damascus?
Actually, I'm just a big fan of just a random pattern Damascus. Just keep folding, layering, and just kind of see how it turns out. Because it's a complete surprise whenever you do it. I just love that. But if I did do if I was going to do one, set it out to make a certain pattern, I'd probably do ladder pattern more than anything. I really like a nice tight ladder pattern. Raindrop's cool though. I used to do a lot of that when I first started, but I kind of got away from that. But I'd say ladder and just a random pattern. I know some folks don't say there is no such thing as random pattern, but just a flat layered laminate, because you can kind of see if you know how to look at it and you can actually read it. You can tell, well, he hit it a little harder here, or there was a little more of a ding there. And you can see the hammer strokes in the Damascus if you know what to look for. I mean, all Damascus you make tells a story if you look at it. So it's pretty interesting.
Awesome. What's the highest amount of folds you've ever made on a Damascus?
I've done a 600 layer before, and after about 400 or so, it starts getting to where you can't really see the pattern. So I had 1,000 layers one time and I wound up burning it up. And yeah, that wasn't a good day. My anvils were laying over on their sides. I kind of had a little bit of a conniption fit from that one.
Coal, coke, or propane?
This last year or two, I've been using more propane than anything, but for certain things, I found if I do some stainless steel forge welding, it does better in my coal forge. There are gas forges that will forge weld stainless pretty reliably. I don't have one of those, so I just go back to my coal forge, and it seems to get up to a good enough temperature to forge weld stainless reliably. So
awesome. Last question, and that is, where do people find you at online? Do you and you give classes, so let the folks out there let them know how to find you. And
you can reach me through Instagram or Facebook under Angry Giant Forge. I've got a couple Facebook pages: Angry Giant Forge, Jason Redick, or Jason Redick Knife Maker as well. I got 3 of them, I think. I do more on Instagram these days than anything, but if you get on my Facebook page, it's got my address, my phone number. I'm pretty sure my phone number's on there. But anyway, you can contact me through Instant Messenger or something like that and get in touch. And right now I'm going back and forth between North Carolina and Charleston, so I'll be back for classes or other things. So if you need to set up something, I can make a point to set up time to teach for you.
Great. Well, I appreciate everything that you've taught me today. I'm sure I'll be back.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Lots more stuff to do. Lots more stuff to do. So, sure. All right, guys, take care, and until next time, get out of the inside and into the outside. Take care.